practice my thrust and my speed and my force by using the board at different tensions. That's what it was designed for. But it became quickly recognized for the ability to cause a drop here like this. There are tables, manipulation tables, that have these kinds of drop pieces built into them, typically in the thoracic, maybe the lumbar area or the cervical area. There are a couple of proprietary techniques that utilize this approach to manipulation. And what they would do is they put the patient on the table, either prone or supine. They make certain contacts. They set the table spring tension to where they want, either very resistive or non-resistive. And they thrust down, the table drops. Okay, just a little bit. Table drops. That causes the momentum of their tissues, the mass of their tissues drops, then suddenly stops. But the bones keep on going. So the idea is that it actually causes a kind of a sudden stop and an oscillation of the bones that gets rid of restrictions. The advantages of these techniques are, first of all, the patient is square on the table. You don't have to put people on their side. You don't have to twist them. They do it from a squared off, either prone or supine position. The second advantage is that you can use lighter forces and let the table do the work for you. As it's actually dropping, that's the momentum that's doing the manipulation. All you do is set it in motion. So when these came out as a training device, people quickly realized, I can do something like a drop table with this as a portable device. So it lends itself really well to extremities. So I'm going to show you a couple of maneuvers where you can use these speeder boards. With each area that we treat, I'll be showing you some of these techniques. So the one technique that we can use it for, there's actually two I'm going to show you at the wrist. One is to separate the radius and the ulna. Okay. Now we just learned that maneuver like this, manually. Okay. I will show you how to do it with the speeder board. The other is any of these carpal glides that we need. Anything that got stuck, either P to A or A to P, you can use the speeder board for that. So let me show you, first of all, the distal radial ulnar joint. Let me have a volunteer. You'll find that you don't need an awful lot of tension. I tend to use these more on the lighter side, but you need some tension in here. Good. So I like that. So for the distal radial ulnar joint, I'm going to have you place your hand here. Notice I'm using a firm surface. If you try to do these on the tables today, there's too much give. You're not going to get the good positive response. So use that table or this or some chair. So to begin with then, to separate the radial ulnar joint, actually let's do it this way. I'm going to place, back here, get her flat, place the area of intention here, the radial ulnar joint like that, right at the end of the board. I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to place it right between the radius and the ulna. It's kind of like a roll of nickels right in between them. I take my other hand, I've preset the tension on the board, take my other hand, and quite honestly, any grip that is comfortable is okay. We're not going to be real specific. You could use your piezoform, you could use your thenar, but you stack your hand here, and we're going to push. This is not a quick thrust. It's a push and a drop. So I bring my shoulders right over my hands and push down. Now, sometimes you'll wobble. You have to be careful to control that. I could do multiple passes if I needed to. There's my thumb between her radius and ulna. Hand here, push down. Okay? And I might have to do that a few times before I'm happy with what's going on. All right? Very simple maneuver. Don't set the tension too hard. You shouldn't have to push and drop really hard, but you don't want it to be too light either. You've got to get that momentum going. That's a simple maneuver right here. Carpal bones, yes.
Sorry, was your thumb, was it placed between the joint you're trying to gap open or distract?
Between it, right here at the distal radial ulnar joint, thumb. So when I'm pushing down with my thumb, it's wedging them apart. The carpal bones, I'm going to put them on the edge. I want them supported by the board. Raise that up there. And now, it doesn't matter to me if you put this thumb here or if you put this thumb here. It doesn't really matter much. I like to put this thumb, because I like to pull and traction the carpal bones a little bit. Then, when I find one that's not moving, I simply put my thumb right over it. Again, any contact that feels good to you. I like piezoform. Again, you could use thenar or palm, doesn't matter. I find that carpal bone and push slowly, bring my shoulders over my hands, push slowly, and let the force of the drop do the work. So we saw a few here today. Some of them just rocking worked just great. They loosened up very nicely. Find the restriction, stay on it for about a minute, and it loosens up. There were a few others though that I could tell were really stuck. And when I started to push, they would wince. It's almost too painful. I think they would do better with one quick thrust to get that bone moving than a couple of oscillations. Okay? So we can go to any of these, P to A, get your arm turned there, or A to P. Same thing. Put your thumb there. We're just using the power of the speeder board to drop. Slow push. And let the weight go down. You know, some people will use a speeder board with a thrust. Boom, like that. But you don't have to. You okay with that? Let's try that. There are boards over there.